Folks, welcome into sportsbookreview.com. It's Monday, and it's time to talk some Major League Baseball. I'm Donnie Seymour for Jason Radowitz and Kyle Purviance. We are the sportsbookreview.com Major League Baseball team. It's Monday, folks. Like to say, new week, new money on the horizon. Decent little card tonight. Jason, how was your weekend?
It was good. I went to the Met game on Sunday. Of course, my wager lost, but the team won. So, you got to do a sacrifice there, So I'll take that any day. Got the Mets shirt on now. Support 5 games against the Braves in the next 4 days with the Braves out, just 5 games from first place. So big series for the Mets and really a big series for a lot of these teams as we head to the trade deadline. Of course, there's a lot of rivalries and divisional games throughout the week. So it's going to be a lot of fun. And we're going to watch that trade deadline and see what happens with all these teams.
No, certainly. I mean, watching the deadline, it's already basically started at this point. Jock Peterson went a few days ago to the Atlanta Braves. He's actually performing very well. And also Adam Frazier, Kyle, goes out on the West Coast to the San Diego Padres. One of those teams that you look forward to in the second half of the season. Not the Padres, the Pirates, because A, they're a bad baseball team, but they probably would be able to hit those 3.5 and 4 team totals. Not so much anymore as the sale is on at this point. So welcome into the second half of the season. I know you had an entertaining weekend here, Kyle.
Yes, it was highly entertaining. Still recovering. We had a big golf tournament. Did really well. We shot an 8 under. The whole east side was looking poppied up. That's for damn sure at the golf course. There's a lot of friends, a lot of partying, and still recovering. But it was a great time, and I hope everyone had a good weekend in the chat box. And I think it's a good point to bring up the trade deadline because this is certainly the week where you sort of want, especially if you're sort of betting on these teams who are sort of out of it. Might want to wait till their lineups come out before you bet anything official on them, stuff like that, because you just never know. Their best player could be gone, or the guy you're counting on, maybe your profile as well, could be gone. So it's important, kind of wait for those lineups, wait for the news. Like even Whit Merrifield, I know the Royals play today. There's talk he's going to Seattle. So some interesting stuff there. Keep an eye on those teams if you're going to be taking the underdogs and see who's in the lineup.
Yes, absolutely. Some good knowledge there as we head down the backstretch of the Major League Baseball. The haves and the have-nots have never been more greater than what they're going to appear over the next week to week and a half. A few teams are going to be raising their flag saying, charge, and the other ones raising the white flag saying, no, surrender. We don't have anything left at this point, so certainly something to keep an eye on. I was pissed off on Friday, I got to tell you. Detroit Tigers on the road. Come on, man. Bases loaded, first and thirds, double play balls out the wazoo. That was a very frustrating game for me, but look for the bounce back this week and certainly have some fun. But if you are into money, which obviously the three of us are, sportsbookreview.com has got you covered all summer long. $20,000 in Bitcoin up for grabs each and every week. Get paid out. It's free. I can tell you all the details, but why should I do that when Lee Martin explains it all right here in this video?
The free $20,000 MLB 10 Runs for Free Cash contest is now live at SBRforum.com. What is the contest? It's simple. Each day in a designated SBR forum post, you pick one team that you think will score 10 or more runs that day. You qualify to win $100 that day if you are correct. Each day the game continues, you pick another team. And every time your team scores 10 runs, you'll be adding onto your total score. The contest is split into 3 segments, and at the end of each segment, the top scorer split $2,500. And at the conclusion of the contest, there's even more cash up for grabs, in total over $20,000. And I know what you're thinking. You can just pick the Yankees every day and win. No, you can only pick the same team once per week. Check out the link in the description for more info and see you in the SBR forum for the contest.
All right, Lee, thank you for that PSA, public service announcement here. It's free, guys. $20,000 up for grabs. Get in there, have fun. Major League Baseball season right through to the playoffs. Now, let's get to some Monday action today. We jump in, a little parachute into the show. Hey, a couple games live on the board. Not today, of course. It is Monday. There is one doubleheader today, Atlanta and the New York Mets, but we will get to those just a little bit later. Let's start our card today in the city of Philadelphia. Jason, 903-904, Ross and Howard on the mound today. The Phillies, a favorite here, -121, the -125s across the board. It can't be for the pitching matchup here because, to me, Washington has the better pitching matchup. But could it be, Jason, those numbers showing dead on arrival, the Washington Nationals, after getting plugged by the Baltimore Orioles all weekend long, now head to Philadelphia, more of the outsiders looking in to try to make a run into the playoffs, maybe sellers at this point instead of buyers. That's the only thing I can think of because the one thing we know about Spencer Howard, he's going to give you a good inning or 2. Maybe 3. That's it from the starter, and the rest is going to be bullpen. What are you looking at here tonight, Jason? Washington and Philadelphia.
And that's the thing, right? With the Phillies, you're
Nice.
basically going to get an entire bullpen game. But the Nationals, offensively, obviously, haven't been great. As a team, they really haven't been great. You got two guys, Turner and Soto. They've been consistently good in the last month or so. Outside that, there's really not much there. Now you have Parr in the lineup. You have Stevenson in the lineup. Herrera in the lineup. It's just looking pretty ugly right now. And I know Escobar got hit with a pitch, so who knows how he'll be. Yeah, I mean, look, Howard, 6.36 xFIP in the last 30 days, striking out just 13% of batters, walking 8.7%. He'll, like we just talked about, maybe 4 innings at most if he has a good outing. Then you go to that bullpen. The Nationals, they should be able to get there, but look at that lineup, and it's just kind of weak, especially when you get down to the bottom of the lineup. So you're really relying on Turner and Soto to do the damage in the lineup there. Then, of course, Joe Ross, on the other hand, going for the Nationals, his xFIP really good, 2.96 in the last 30 days, striking out 32.7%, also walking just 30.6% of batter. So he's been a lot better than Howard has been. He can at least go 5 innings plus in his starts. He went 6.2 in his last start against the Dodgers, 6.1 against the Rays. So those are two really good teams that he went into the 7th inning and pitched in. He did allow 5 runs combined in those games, but still, just knowing he can get into the 7th inning, it helps you a lot when you're deciding who you want to take in this game. So I like the Nationals more in this game, but it's hard with their offense been struggling. Their team really been struggling. It's hard to take a team in this one. The Nationals being on the road might be a good spot for a team total over against the Phillies, basically bullpen. You look at it that direction, but for me, I'm going to be staying away from this game entirely.
Yeah, Nola was sensational yesterday, and then obviously gets to the 9th inning, 1-2 pitch, 2 outs. You get a home run from the Atlanta Braves, and now all of a sudden you bring in the Ranger Suarez, who's been a decent reliever, I should say, was able to get that last out. But it's always a panic when the Phillies have a lead heading into the late innings. Kyle, as we take a look at this game, Jason brings up the topics that we've been talking about. Howard, I don't understand. He's one of your better prospects in the minor leagues, but he can't go more than 3 innings. I don't have any idea what the Philadelphia Phillies are doing with him or what's going on in the minor league system. If he can't go more than 3 innings, what the hell is he even doing in the major leagues at this point? So when you try to take a look at the matchups, neither team looks particularly great. But the one thing we do know, Spencer Howard does have a high xFIP number of 5.50, but also a decent between both lefties and righties weighted on base averages for the season. Taking a look at some other options here on the odds board, specifically with the boost here, the Philadelphia Phillies and the Boston Red Sox to win tonight. That's a plus 260, obviously up from 200. But how about this one in the DraftKings book here, Kyle? Philadelphia Phillies, the always sunny boost. Bryce Harper to get 2 hits and a Phillies win, boosted to 425 in this one. Outside of those odds boosts here, what are you looking at from the game itself between the Phillies and the Nationals?
Yeah, and me and DraftKings are in a massive battle right now, so I will not say anything good about DraftKings. They don't care about their customers or their people. It's all a money grab and greed, and they want to buy the worst sports betting app I've ever seen, the Oregon Sports Lottery. So that's what it is. So I'm all about FanDuel now. DraftKings, just a little side note, can absolutely go jump off a cliff as far as I'm concerned. Now, this game for me, it's just a fade of Howard and a fade of that Phillies bullpen. I do think the Nats are live dogs. Yes, they've looked terrible. No, I don't love Joe Ross. Wide range of outcomes with Joe Ross. He has been much better lately. But you also look at his last 5 games. He's got a 0 fantasy total in there. He's also got a 55 in his last 5 against the Phillies. He's got a negative 14. He's also got a 34. So there's these wide range of outcomes. He's certainly gettable. Both teams should be able to score here. But for me, I think you're seeing a nice number. This morning when I got up and started researching, the Nats team total over 4.5 was at minus 105. I'm now seeing it shift a lot at minus 115s, minus 120. I agree with that movement. I do think the Nats score tonight. It is a tough lineup to trust. I completely understand if someone doesn't want to do that. But for me, it's one of my favorite plays of the day. We'll talk about this more of best bets on the board. When I just look at the advantages here, I think the middle of the order can get to Howard and obviously get to that bullpen. Who can't get to that Phillies bullpen? So we're going to need the Turners, of course, and the Sotos, the Bells, the Harrison. We're going to need them to get it done. But, even over the last 3 years, Josh Bell about, 50 points better here, 675 to 725 OPS, a little better against righties. Harrison, a little bit better against lefties and righties, but still pretty solid. Obviously, Turner and Soto can get it done. So I think the Nats team total makes sense to me. If you want to take a side, dog or pass for me, I'll take the underdog. I do think they have the better pitcher here. I agree with Donnie. But for me, over 4.5. Minus 120, if you can get a little bit better than that, that's cool. I think the Nationals team total is live here today, and I sort of lean the over on this game as well.
Yeah, I'll take a look at this game here. Forget about the pre-game betting of it. It just seems like the perfect live betting situation to try to get into. Spencer Howard does pitch well maybe through the second or third inning. Then you start to get into the bullpen. Also keep in mind for an over in the game as well. If you're going to be taking your pitcher out in the third inning, he's probably only get one at bat. So then you could probably figure on through the fourth inning through ninth inning, the Philadelphia Phillies no longer going to have a pitcher bat. They're probably going to, sub that bullpen guy out once he gets one time through the lineup and have those pinch hitters in the lineup. So maybe an added bonus, almost like an American League game, similar tonight what you get from the Philadelphia Phillies. But both of these pitchers could get hit. It's hot weather here in Philadelphia. It's a small ballpark. We'll see what takes place in that one. I'll tell you another small ballpark we're going to get to right now. That's 909, 910, and that's Toronto and Boston. Hatch versus Pivetta. 148s to 145s across the board as we take a look. Over under set at 11. Now keep in mind with Hatch, he is going to be an opener, so another bullpen game. And Toronto's bullpen isn't that strong. And also you have that role reversal. Pivetta, who's been struggling here so far, primarily through the last 30 to 60 days. I don't think that. Take a look at this. Toronto's lineup should be able to hit in this situation. But I know Jason will probably bring up some pretty good ideas here that, do you want to get involved with that Boston Red Sox bullpen? Or you just want to say, you know what? Let me go Pivetta versus Toronto straight up. What do you think of Toronto versus Boston here tonight?
Yeah, so here's what I'm thinking, right? The Blue Jays, they should get out ahead against the Red Sox early against Pivetta, right? So if you look at Pivetta and his last 3 starts against Toronto this season, we'll go down the list. And his last start, of course, is 7-19, just literally his last start, right? He went 6.2 innings pitched, but he allowed 11 hits, 4 runs, 1 home run, 2 walks, just 4 strikeouts, 13 fly balls. Did get 12 ground balls, but, he threw 108 pitches, and, they were good to go because the Red Sox, they scored 13 runs in that game. Now you go to this next start, 6-12 against Toronto. This one at home where they're going to be today. He went 5 innings, allowed 6 hits, 6 runs, 4 home runs in the same ballpark they're going to be playing in today. 2 walks, 6 strikeouts, and again, 8 fly balls, 7 ground balls, 96 pitches. So even when he's getting hit, he's staying in. They're letting him go deep in these games, and they're just letting him get rocked. And then you go to his last game earlier. It was in May 20th. 5 innings, 7 hits, 5 runs, no home runs though, but 2 walks, 8 strikeouts, and still, even with 8 strikeouts, he allowed a bunch of runs, 5 runs in that game through 5 innings. So if you go to all the batters in the lineup, they've done a great job, right? As combined lineup, 1.053 OPS throughout the entire lineup so far in their careers with that lineup. So it looks really good there for Toronto against Boston, and they should be able to get 4 to 5 runs in those first 5 innings. But then you go to Boston, right? It's going to be Hatch on the mound. And you go to Hatch and you look at his numbers, and they're not terrible, right? Last year, if you look at his numbers, 2.73 ERA, a 1.18 whip. And then if you go to this year, his minor league stats, 29.1 innings pitched, 4.88 xFIP, but then again, his ERA a lot lower in the 2s. So he's been getting a little bit lucky when it comes to that, a 2.15 ERA, an FIP 4.46, and a 4.88. So I think Boston will be able to get some runs against Hatch, but also, of course, like you said, that bullpen throughout the entire game. So I like the over in this game, over 10.5. I got it at 10 earlier, but the line is now adjusted. It's now moved up to 11. I got it at 10 at minus 135. Now you get 10.5 at around that minus 135. We still need 11, and if you get 5 from both sides, which is really doable between both these teams, they're automatically going to get 11 runs and are going to win that game. So over 10.5 will go for the show, over 10.5 in this game for the full game, all 9 innings.
Yeah, I think we do get runs. 83 degrees here in Boston tonight, 6 miles an hour, slightly blowing out. No real weather concerns whatsoever from a precipitation standpoint here. So we should get some runs across the board. Boston's been really good. I do think they're going to win the AL East here. I think they'll hold off the Tampa Bay Rays. But looking at this game individually here, Kyle, what are we thinking about from a Boston perspective or Toronto's perspective? Are you just looking at home saying, hey, look, I can't trust that bullpen, basically a full game from the Toronto Blue Jays? I do understand. Pivetta, not the greatest pitcher, but you do have 2 potent lineups here.
Yeah, and the Red Sox lineup is the best profiling lineup today on the card, in my opinion, especially if you take the 3-year numbers. The only hitter without an advantage of 10% or more is Hunter Renfroe in the projected lineup. Yes, I realize there'll be no Bogarts, so maybe they throw someone in there. But guys like Devers, Martinez, up and down the order. I like how this lineup profiles. I got an alternate team total of over 4.5. It's -165 over at BetMGM. Then you can get plus money or even money of the over 5.5 if you want to take the extra run. For me, I'll stay safe. I think they get to 5 runs. I think the J.D. Martinez home run prop is live. The Rafael Devers home run prop is live. I like them both. I like Boston in this one. Of course, we don't bet sides here. I thought about the first 5, but as Vitalis so astutely pointed out, both these teams really, really even when it comes to that first 5. Pivetta can be hit. Hatch can be hit. For me, give me that team total for Boston. I took one fewer over at BetMGM. Took it at -165. Red Sox over 4.5. For Toronto, and for the case for Toronto as well, that lineup also profiles well. And look, even guys like Bo Bichette, 6 of 9 lifetime off of Pivetta, home run. Vladimir Guerrero, 3 of 8 lifetime with a home run. Marcus Semien, 3 of 8 with a home run. George Springer, 3 of 4. So these guys have hit Pivetta. They profile well. There should be runs in this game. I'll lean the Red Sox, and I like that Red Sox team total over 4.5. For me, it's the best profiling lineup of the day.
All right, 285 people currently watching live here on a Monday. Thank you for joining us. If you have not been subscribed to the channel yet, haven't clicked that button, if it's still red, you're not doing us a favor here. Click it over, make that gray, click on that notification bell every time we go live to talk Major League Baseball right here on the channels. You will be able to come into the chat box and say hello. 87,200 subscribers have done that already as we were cruising down the stretch here. Look at this. Last weekend of July, football starting up right now. Basically, all those big news. You don't want to miss anything we're doing here on the network. So certainly hit that subscribe button, notification bell on. We got you covered. Let's keep moving forward here. Cincinnati and Chicago, 9:05, 9:06, 8:10 first pitch here. 8:05 first pitch here on the East Coast. And if we take a look at the lines, not a lot of movement here. Pinnacle opened up here, Jason offshore, -127, currently sits at -128. FanDuel, New Jersey, opened up at 134, sits 132. 8.5s across the board. Chicago Cubs in a holding pattern right now. I actually like the way their lineup looks, but Miley's been pretty good as a pitcher this year, so it sort of counterbalances that. But in the blink of an eye, you can lose Kimbrel, Rizzo, Baez, Bryant, damn near half the team, and they know that. When you're flying, I don't care if you get the 5-star hotels, the charter jets, you're on the phone with your agent like every 30 minutes. Hey, what are you hearing out here? Anybody call you from the front office? Anybody leaking any stories out here? That's always tough to bet into, but again, we don't give a damn who wins the game a lot of times. We just want some runs. Jason, what are you thinking here between the Reds and the Cubs?
Yeah, runs might be harder to come by between both these two pitchers. Obviously, Miley and Hendricks, these are both guys that they've been going deep in games, right? So you got Miley in July, 6.2 innings, 8 innings, 6.1 innings. Then you have Hendricks in July, 6 innings, 6.1 innings, 6 innings, 6.1 innings. So these guys are going 6 to 7 innings and allowing, really 1 to 2 runs per game for the most part. So I think that's what you get out of this game as well. That under 4.5 in the first 5, that's kind of appealing. At most, you would think that both these pitchers allow 2 runs or less in this game. And really, it just looks like, but when it comes to the Reds, right, their offense has really, really kind of struggled recently. The 136 ISO, weighted OBA 307, striking out nearly 24% of the time and only walking 8.8% of the time against righties. Then you have the Cubs, of course, like you said, their lineup, it looks a lot better. 195 ISO, 336 weighted OBA, but they're also striking out 26% of the time, walking under 10% of the time. And even though Miley's not a big strikeout guy, he should be able to maybe do a little bit of damage. Look, the Cubs, they do well against lefties. They have pretty much all season, but it's just hard to back a team like the Cubs right now, or really any team that's kind of thinking about moving their pieces. So at this point, I would stay away at it, and I think the under in the first 5 innings is the way to go at 4.5.
Yeah, this is an interesting one because you take a look at the Reds lineup on the it looks pretty good. Since Castellanos has been out, let's roughly look at the last 30 days, Kyle. Hendricks, 5.50 xFIP over those last 30 days. He actually has very good lefty and righty splits with weighted on base averages. But take a look at this lineup for the Reds. You're going to have India, who's a 390 weighted on base average over the last 30 days versus righties. Very good. Winker, 332. Votto, 468. Fantastic. The rest of the lineup has really been struggling. And also keep in mind, over the last 30 days, Hendricks not a huge strikeout guy. Only 13% of the batters that he's faced over the last 30 days, he has actually struck out. Now, look at the K rate over the last 30 days versus right-handed pitching from a Reds perspective. India, 28%. Votto, 24%. Naquin, 27%. Suarez, 30%. Farmer, 24%. Barnhart, 24%. And Akiyama, 23%. Something's got to give in this game, but I think Jason's onto the right thing. Usually you look at both these lineups and say, hey, they can get after it, because I do like the way the Cubs lineup looks. But then again, Miley's been a good pitcher. Hendricks has been getting better, and the Reds seem to be drawing dead here for us.
Exactly. This is a tough one. This is a game you
Yeah.
stay away from. Honestly, it really is. And it's kind of interesting. I was surprised. The highest 3-year weighted
Yeah.
OPS, or second highest on this card, is actually the Cubs against Miley. So he can be got. He has been got by the Cubs before. The problem is, what kind of anxiety and what kind of mood is that Cubs team in? Or how motivated are they to win when 5, 6, 7, 8 players, I might be shipped out tonight? So it's really tough for me to back the Cubs. I would say the Reds are a solid underdog spot here at a little bit of plus money if you're trying to take a side. For me, I agree with Jason. Under 4.5 in the first 5 innings makes a ton of sense. Both these pitchers should be able to get through the order. The Reds lineup has not been hot. Hendricks has been really solid, going 6 innings at least in his last 3 starts. Tough one for me. I don't have anything on it. If I was going to, I would say dog or pass, take the Reds as an underdog. And I like that under 4.5 in the first 5 innings. I do think both pitchers limit these lineups. And it's kind of weird because normally we'd say, okay, once you get later into the game, you just attack that Reds bullpen, which is exponentially worse than the Cubs bullpen. But I just don't know if I like the vibe coming out of that Cubs clubhouse. I don't think this is a team motivated to win. Again, that's just sort of my psychological analysis there, and it's not like I'm a psychotherapist or anything, but you know how it is. When you don't have a lot to play for and you're just waiting to find out what your new home is, how focused are you on winning these games? I like the under in the first 5 innings. If I'm picking a side, I'll lean towards the underdog and take the Reds.
Yeah, there you go. So that's the big 3 games that we had on the board here. Now it's time to some value menu wagers to dig into here on a Monday night slate. I'm going to go back up to the city of Boston here. A game that's just short of my card to make a play of the day wager. I got to say, it would be a play of the day if I didn't have to go up against that Red Sox bullpen, but I do think they can scratch out runs tonight. 4.5 minus 125, which was listed early here for the Toronto Blue Jays team total over. Just taking a look at Nick Pivetta, who, again, from Philadelphia Phillies fame, never fared all that well. Lefty and righty splits aren't that good over the past 30 days. He's faced about, maybe close to 100 batters, but you're going to get some big sticks here from the right side on the Toronto Blue Jays. If you take a look at Pivetta's performance over the last 30 days, righties, a 389 weighted on base average and a 241 ISO power number. Well, good thing for the Jays tonight, anticipating having 7 out of the 9 batters tonight from the right-hand side. Small ballpark, wind blowing out. They should be able to do some damage to Pivetta over the first 5 innings. I'm going to go with my value menu wager tonight on those Toronto Blue Jays team total over 4.5. Jason, what do you got tonight on your value menu card?
And just to go bounce off of what you just said, Kevin Biggio, he'll be one of the lefties in the lineup. Yeah, he actually has 2 home runs against Pivetta as well. So just throw that out there.
Mm-hmm.
One lefty that can do damage. You have all the righties, and you have the lefty that can do damage there as well. So just wanted to point that out. But yeah, I think my value is going to be on the Astros here, over 4.5 on the team total at minus 130. I know the Mariners have been really good, but they're going to go with starting. What's his name? Like Darren McCoffin. If you look at his stats, he really hasn't been terrific. Since he started coming back into the major leagues, and I think he has 1 start in the last 30 days. But even then, 6.41 xFIP, striking out 0% of batters, 17.6% walks. So this is a guy that I feel like the Astros should be able to kind of pounce on. He's thrown just 5 innings, of course, and hasn't got a strikeout yet. And then also his walks are at 5.4 per 9 innings. So I think there's a way for the Astros to do some damage here, and I think they'll be able to do something. So I'd go with that 4.5 for the team total of the Astros here.
French fries, tacos, cheeseburgers. Kyle, where are we headed tonight on your value menu wager card?
I'm going to go to those Boston Red Sox. And this is at BetMGM. And I love that book for the reason where, most outlets have the total at 5.5 for Boston, and it's at even money or plus money. I just will stick to the 5 runs. It just makes me feel a little bit better. I'm a little tired from the weekend, so I don't need to stress that much. I need to watch some Harry Potter movies, relax, and enjoy the win. Minus 165 over 4.5 for Boston. I mentioned it. They just profile beautifully. Every hitter in the lineup. Of course, we would rather have Xander Bogaerts in the lineup. He has not been hitting the ball well. He's been pretty cold over the last week and a half. I like this Red Sox lineup. I think the Martinez home run prop makes a lot of sense. Also on the value menu, let's give out a few other home run props here. I kind of like Bryce against Joe Ross. I think it makes a lot of sense. I like Juan Soto as well, Vladimir Guerrero Jr. And I thought I had one more, but apparently that is it. Oh, yeah, Rafael Devers as well for Boston. But I like this Boston lineup. At least 7 of the projected hitters tonight will have an advantage of 15% or more when you look at a weighted 3-year advantage here. Like Boston, like that team total over 4.5, minus 165. That's why it's on the value menu, because it's too steamed up to be a play of the day when it's at 165, in my opinion.
All right, there you go. Value menu wagers off the board. Best bets and bankers now on the board. I don't have a best bet in the banker night short card tonight. There's a full card tomorrow night with some tomato cans that are actually on the mound. So we should be eating well tomorrow night. But as I said, I do like that Toronto game. I was looking a little bit at that Nats team total as well, but I like it better as an in-game play as opposed to a pre-game play. Coming to you, Jason. Any best bets and bankers on the card tonight that we're going to take a look at?
Yeah, so again, the Blue Jays Red Sox game, I took the over 10 at minus 135 this morning. Well, it's now at minus 160 on the 10. You can get the 10.5 at minus 135, then you can get the 11 at a normal price. So I took 10, but we'll go with the show. We'll take that 10.5. Again, we'll both need, of course, we all need 11 runs, and think that both teams, like Kyle and Donnie both pointed out, should be able to get 5 runs plus in this game. And so if you're able to do that, then we're guaranteed 11 runs, which means we'll get the win here on this over 10 or 10.5. But don't go betting that over 10 now at that minus 160. There's no value there. Take the 10.5 or take the 11. If obviously if we were to win, you just get a push. So it wouldn't be terrible either way. But, I guess it's just showing my sharp here. It's been happening, quite a lot the last couple of weeks. But it is what it is. We'll take the 10.5 for the show.
Bank it, Kyle. Where are you going tonight? What do we got?
I'm going to go to those Washington Nationals, and I understand the hesitancy. They have not looked great, and it looks like a lineup just overmatched by everyone. But for me, it's a fade of Spencer Howard. I don't see anything special about what this kid does. He doesn't go long enough for me. Even if he is pitching well, it's only going to be, 2-3 innings. Then you get one of the, 6-7 worst bullpens in majors the rest of the game. In the Philadelphia Phillies, I like how some of these hitters profile, from Soto to Turner to Bell and Harrison. I think they can get it done. I'll take the Nationals over 4.5. It's now moving to minus 120. Again, that has moved quite a bit since this morning. I agree with the line movement. I like this Washington lineup against the bullpen and against Spencer Howard. Should get a couple runs early, continue it on against that bullpen. So give me the over 4.5 at minus 120 is the worst odds I'm seeing. So anywhere between minus 105 and minus 120 is where you're going to get it. I think it's the right number. I think the Nats get it done today. Bad team, get it done. Let's go.
All right, let's move down to the odds lightning round, see if we can pick off some pieces of information that we like between these games. We have a doubleheader here, which is kind of a shame because Atlanta's throwing out Wilson and Muller today, which you figure the Mets should be able to get some base hits, but that's neither here nor there. 8-10 tonight, good game. Chicago White Sox and the Kansas City Royals, 9-11, 9-12. Jason, I'll start with you first here. 2 lefties on the mound, Keuchel and Minor. Minor hasn't been that great. Had one decent start in his last one, but really got filleted the past couple starts, and then you're heading and placing the Chicago White Sox. Now, they don't hit lefties as well as they used to in the past years. But now you're looking at Eloy Jimenez possibly coming back tonight. That is a strong lineup up and down. Any thoughts on this game as we take a look at a slight favorite here to the White Sox at only about a 120? Seems cheap, doesn't it?
Yeah, look, Minor 6.09 xFIP in the last 30 days. Keuchel 5.08 xFIP in the last 30 days. So both these pitchers, of course, they can be hit. But then you look at these lineups, and Jimenez will be back for the White Sox, and that should be good. But both lineups, they're kind of spotty. Like they got guys in stacks that are really good, and then they got guys in stacks that are really bad. And so you worry that those guys that have been performing poorly in the lineup against lefties in the last 30 days, you worry that those guys are going to kind of hurt when you have guys on base, runners in scoring position, and then they don't score, and then that's what kind of hurt them, that they're not able to score runs. So, look, you got the Royals, right? You have Perez, Benintendi, Soler, and Alberto. They've been really good. The bad players, Merrifield, and he might, be traded in any second now anyway. Santana has been pretty bad. Taylor, Lopez, Dozier. So it's just spotty there for that lineup. And then you go to the White Sox. Of course, Jimenez, there's no stats on him in the last 30 days, but Anderson, Abreu, Moncada have been really good. But Vaughn, Collins, Mendick, they haven't been great. So it gets so spotty in the lineup where you worry that some of these batters might just kind of hurt their chances of scoring enough runs. So for me, I'm going to stay away, obviously. But, of course, I think the White Sox are the better team. I think they can score some runs. It's just I don't want any rally killers from the bottom of the lineup.
There you go. And also the Cubs at Windy City special tonight is an odds boost on the DraftKings Sportsbook. That is the White Sox and the Cubs to both win. That's boosted from 213 up to 240 in that game. Next game we're going to talk about here, Kyle, is actually a decent one as well. Maybe from a hitting perspective, Manning and Pineda are going to be on the mound, Detroit and Minnesota. When we line up that Minnesota lineup here in the 2021 season, it looks pretty good. Now, here's the issue that you have, because you're going to have a couple lefties in the lineup tonight that you're going to be able to roll out there for the Minnesota Twins. Manning, who is a terrible pitcher, has actually done decently against lefties and absolutely getting scraped by right-handed batters. This is a game that you might be looking at possibly for some runs or a team total here.
This is one where I think I'm just going to lean on the Twins. I'm going to do it in the first 5 innings. The reason being Michael Pineda has actually he hasn't been great recently. I mean, he's been god-awful since the sticky stuff situation happened, right? I mean, it just hasn't been the same guy. But against Detroit, 4 of his last 5 starts, at least 30 fantasy points or more. He's going deep into these games. Matt Manning was a fantasy darling for us last week when we had a big win. But that Minnesota lineup, even though they got rid of Nelson Cruz, which I think they're the second best profiling lineup for me. Let's go over the advantage in the projected lineup tonight, assuming Larnach and Polanco are able to go. I know they're dealing with a hand and a lower back injury, but we've got advantages here of 25.
Larnach is in.
Larnach is in. Okay, perfect. Yeah. That makes this even better for me. We've got advantages of 25, 9, 20, 42, 28, 23, 13, and 27%. I like the Twins here. You're getting a minus 0.5 in the first 5 at minus 115. If you just want to take the money line in case it ties and go for the push at minus 155, I agree with that as well. Yes, the Tigers have been better lately, and they've been a team that's been giving us this underdog sort of value lately. But I like the Twins. I like how that lineup profiles. Pineda's been very, very good against Detroit. I give him the pitching advantage tonight and the lineup advantage tonight. Yikes. And that stat by Vitalis does make it a little bit iffy, but I think the Twins get it done tonight. I'll lean the Twins in the first 5 innings, and I also think they're a nice cheap option in DFS as well. So Twins for me, and Pineda as well on FanDuel. 6,700 on FanDuel for a guy who's gotten 49 and 49 in his last 2 and over 30 in 4 of his last 5. That's a really, 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 you're getting him almost 5,000 cheaper than Shohei Ohtani, for Christ's sake. He goes 5-6 innings, gets the win. He is getting you 4 or 5 times value. You have a real chance of cashing or winning your GPP tournaments. Love Pineda in DFS, like the Twins lineup, and I like a minus 0.5 in the first 5.
Yeah, 90 degrees the first pitch up there in Minnesota. So you're also getting some hot weather conditions, maybe a shower or two, but doesn't look like anything that's going to deter the game overall. So you do have a couple of those things going in order. And specifically speaking about Shohei Ohtani, the MVP of the American League, he's going to take the mound here versus Colorado. Marquez also pitching like a Cy Young candidate here. Keep in mind, man, this guy does just about half of his starts in Colorado and still putting up some decent numbers. There's also a nerfy boost at the FanDuel Sportsbook. One of the better ones that you'll see. It's from minus 115 to plus 120. 0 runs to be scored in the first inning between the Angels and Colorado. 2 offenses that stink, particularly Colorado outside of Colorado, and 2 good pitchers on the mound, theoretically here. Might not be a bad shot at a nerfy, but also an odds boost at the DraftKings Sportsbook. Get this one here. Shohei Ohtani to strike out the first Rockies batter, plus 320. So some things to keep an eye on. Marquez and Ohtani here tonight on the mound, Jason.
Yeah, you talked about the Rockies, how their offense has been really, really bad. But why don't you look at the Angels lineup in the last 30 days against righties? I mean, this is almost a 0.000 type of deal. Fletcher, 0.072 ISO. Upton, 0.100 ISO. Walsh, 130 ISO. Iglesias, 140. Marsh, 118. Suzuki, 0.00 in 18 plate appearances. Eaton, 0.030 for Eaton in 34 plate appearances. So basically, the lineup for the Angels is actually worse than the Rockies when you're looking at it. And Marquez, like you talked about, Marquez has been terrific. 2.81 xFIP in the last 30 days, almost 30% strikeouts, walking under 5% of batters, also getting ground balls nearly 50% of the time. So I kind of like the Rockies in this game to come out with a late win, but again, I agree with the under. I think the no runs first inning is a much better bet than picking a side in this game, because who wants to bet against Ohtani and then bet against them with the Rockies, right? Especially on the road. So exactly. That no runs first inning, that kind of is nice. That looks pretty nice, pretty juicy. And also, you go to Tapia, only has 13.3% strikeouts against righties, but I mean, he hasn't been good at the plate at all, with an ISO of 0.039 and a weighted OBA of 234. So who knows? Ohtani could strike him out if he wants. 22.8% strikeout rate for Ohtani. And then against lefties, his strikeout rate a lot lower, and that's why it's a boost, right? 14.3% against lefties in the last 30 days. So go look into those stats before you just put your money on there. But no runs first inning, that one actually does kind of sound good.
No, it does. It's one of the better ones I've seen this year. Yeah. They're hit or miss on that type of stuff. But if you're looking to actually say, forget about it's a boost, and you ask me, nerf you on that game, it probably makes a lot of sense here. Kyle, 9-15, 9-16 up in your neck of the woods tonight. Houston and Seattle. McColgan is on the mound. Now, if we take a look at his major league, efforts this year, which isn't much, 17 batters he's faced, a 6.41 xFIP, and they say, hey, look at that. His weighted on base averages are low. He hasn't struck anybody out. 17 batters, no Ks. That'll get you in trouble with the Astros here. What are you looking at tonight?
Yeah, I mean, it's a markedly pitching advantage for Houston, right? Garcia, very, very solid. Yeah. He's been okay against Seattle's last start, put up 30 fantasy points, looked pretty solid. But this is a guy with high upside. What are you going to get out of McColgan or McCoffin, whatever the hell his name is? I always mess it up. I tried to correct Jason early and say McColgan just because I thought it would be funny that I thought I had, but I'm sure I was wrong. Who the hell knows? But I do like Houston in this spot. The problem is the only place you're really getting value, you're going to have to take a -0.5 in the first 5 or take the run line, which I hate doing. Just taking run lines in baseball for me is just for the fish. If you want to be swallowed up by whales and sharks, take run lines all day long in baseball and just enjoy losing your money. For me, I'll take a -0.5 in the first 5 at -130 would be the best way for me to go. It's not a game I'm touching, not enough value on it. I'm not sure. Seattle's bullpen's not bad. And so once McColgan's out, Seattle's one of these underrated teams with a winning record. I don't like how their lineup profiles. Keep an eye on them. Maybe they make a trade today as well. I know there was talks that they're interested in Whit Merrifield for Kansas City. Bottom of the order doesn't look terrible. The Longs, the colonic, as I like to call them, they look okay. Mitch Haniger doesn't look terrible. But for me, I'll take the -0.5 in the first 5 for Houston. I just like that pitching advantage. When you look in the lineup here, guys like Straw, Tucker, Altuve, all with solid advantages. Michael Brantley, of course, anytime there's a righty on the mound. So the Astros have some competent hitters tonight. I'll take the Astros -0.5 in the first 5 innings.
All right, there you go. That'll clear up the show today, and it's time to clear out the bases. Before we get out of here, we want to recap and tell you guys exactly what we're digging on tonight. As I said, I do like the Toronto Blue Jays team total over the 4.5 at -125 for a value menu wager play. And then the Nationals, not so much from a pregame standpoint, but I'm going to be focused on that game. Yeah, I'm going to be watching the Phillies game primarily anyway, but that's one I want to keep an eye on here, get some base runners maybe early in this game. You might be theoretically looking at 7 innings of bullpen work for the Phillies. Why? Because the Nationals are on the road. They're going to get that 9th inning at bat no matter what here. Jason, what are you looking at tonight? Best bets and bankers here.
Yeah, so we'll go with the value play. Will be the Astros over 4.5 on the team total. Again, they should be able to score early, so if you want to go with that first 5 look, that's completely fine as well. But the 3 times that I've lost those first 5s, I've actually would have won the full team total. So getting a little annoyed with that, so I'm just going to go with the Astros over 4.5 because, like Kyle said, the bats in the lineup, they should be able to produce beyond just a starting pitcher. And, of course, the Mariners, yes, their bullpen has been a lot better than I think all of us expected, but the Astros bats are still competent and can still do damage, especially if the Mariners keep the game close, which some say in the chat that they should. And I agree. The Mariners are a better team than I think we all expected. Then you go to the full play. I'm on the over 10 at -135 for the Blue Jays and Red Sox game. Well, now that's shifted to -160. So for the show, we'll just go with 10.5. I still think we'll get the 11. I do not recommend getting that 10 at -160 now. There's no value there anymore. So we'll ride the 10.5, and I think we'll get 11 in this game.
And by the way, for our guy McColgan out there in Seattle in 2019, a full AAA season of 41 innings, a 6.12 xFIP. AAA in 2021, 59 innings, a 5.36 xFIP. So maybe missing the boat a little bit here on the Astros. We'll see what takes place a little bit later tonight. But Kyle, wrap it up here and tell us about your value menu wagers and your best bets here. Goodness.
Damn it, let's switch it all up right now. No, so value menu, we'll take the Red Sox at that alternate line over 4.5 -165 over at BetMGM. I just love how that lineup profiles tonight. Another lineup that I really like against a pitcher that I like to fade and a bullpen I like to fade. I will take that Nationals team total over 4.5 -120 as my play of the day. Some home run props that I like: JD Martinez, Bryce Harper, Vladimir Guerrero, and Juan Soto. I think all make a ton of sense. I wouldn't even mind if you got a good number on Devers or Michael Brantley as well.
There you go. So we got all that information and knowledge in on a Monday. New week, new money. Hopefully your Monday night is profitable. Hopefully we helped you out picking on some of those details that you may have missed. Chat box always bringing the heat as usual. Thank you guys for the love and support. I'm Donnie RightSide for Jason Radowitz and Kyle Purviance. We are the sportsbookreview.com Major League Baseball team. This was your show for Monday. Good luck on those wagers.